So what's all this about that?
Hello, it's me, Kyle. Welcome to Give Pause Hobby, the channel where I stop to appreciate the things I love to fill my free time with. We're back with another So What's All This About episode, and just to kind of get a lay of the land to see, I think I explored what the upper threshold is. I don't know, maybe I could go longer than 2 40-minute episodes, but I kind of wanted to see what the lower end of the threshold would be. Now I can immediately think of one game in particular that I would definitely will talk about on this, that's going to be smaller and maybe a shorter episode than this. But this was recently a game that I put on my 10-game challenge. So if you could only keep 10 games in your collection, and you want to have as well-rounded a collection as you can, this was one of them that I really hadn't talked about all that much aside from that. So I thought, perfect opportunity to come off of the dense cube of content and ideas that is Imperial, and go to the little cigar box that is Mafia de Cuba. Now this was just to continue to solidify this channel as anything but your source for up-and-coming or recent released games. This is from 2015, and when it was first came out. I can't remember exactly when I got it, but it's seen some wear and tear. I don't know if you can see the cigar box is getting a little bit dingy, but as you'll see in a little bit over on the table, it's supposed to be, kind of aged, because this is the box of the game. Unlike many games, the box is part of the setting. Usually the box is just the place to put the pieces you're not using. And you store a place for it somewhere else, or put it just off to the side of the table to give people a reminder of what game they're playing. This box is going to keep coming back again and again, and we'll talk about that when we go over to the table. But so without any further ado, let's get it over to the table and show you what stuff and ideas are inside this box of Mafia de Cuba. All right, so here is the box for Mafia de Cuba, which again is supposed to look like a cigar box you're going to pass around. Now, what I neglected to say in the intro, this is a hidden role game, and I'll get more into what sets this apart and why this was the kind of party style hidden role game that I chose in my 10-game challenge above all the others. But in this one, you are going to be passing this cigar box around, which looks very thematically decked out, and it looks like cigars, bum bum bum, except it's fake. And underneath is going to be some of the little images of ne'er-do-wells, but also most importantly the components. So let's talk about what we have in here. We've got a little bag for keeping something secret. We have a couple of bottles of tequila, which are known as the Jokers, and these are essentially accidents that the Don, because it's one player is the Don of this mafia, the others are different characters throughout, and he is trying to get all of his stolen diamonds back. So we have these little plastic diamonds that players are going to be taking and stealing from the Don if they so choose, and he's trying to get all of his diamonds back by the end of the game. And if he accuses someone who is not a thief that they are in fact a thief, he has to use one of his Joker tokens to kind of say, I'm sorry, that was my mistake. But then most importantly, well, actually, I don't know, the box is pretty darn important, because it is going to be going around the table. It's like the setting for all of the games. But even still, I think the most important thing are these chips. So they are weighted, kind of poker chip style, and we have, as you can see, a few different colors, which weren't organized at all in my box, into different characters. And so again, I think you would be hard pressed to find someone who likes the physicality of board games who isn't just like in love with good, solid poker chips. Even though you're only ever going to be taking one of these for yourself, they will be kind of sloshing around the box depending on how many players are in the game. So you will get that poker chip kind of shuffle sound, and that's it. That's and the rule book, I guess. That is the entirety of Mafia de Cuba. Unboxing complete. Again, like the cool aspects of this, the cool stuff. At the time in 2015, I felt like these were more. Not that these are bad. They're really nice. Kind of like cut gem sort of looks. They're not just the I don't know if there's a set shape for it, but like that generic gem shape that so many games use now. These are very clearly meant to be diamonds, the way that they are cut. I don't know what this cut would be called, but there is a cut that looks like this for diamonds. So that's nice. Just some nice components here. Honestly, the biggest one are these chips, and notably I do not have the expansion. The expansion is small enough that it can just like go right inside this box. Adds a few other roles to the game that can make it more interesting. When No Buy 2023 runs up, I may pick that up, just because thinking about this game for the 10 game challenge and now for this has me thinking about wanting to get it to the table again. And that I've heard that it's not necessary to get that box of those other rolls, but I think it could be fun nonetheless. But then, like I said, the box itself, I do need to tape up some more. I added some tape on the inside, just because you're going to be doing this so many times. But it adds any nicks and dents and scratches that this box gets. Other games in my collection might make me bummed out, but in this one, it's actually going to make it more legit. Like, it's supposed to look like a nondescript box of cigars. So it's actually like a feature, not a bug, to have this thing get all dingy. So, that's a pretty sweet side effect, that if it looks old and messed up, no, it's supposed to look old and messed up. So let's get into talking about the ideas that make this game awesome. So on the side of the box, you'll see, not that side. There we go. So 6 to 12 players, which is an awesome, not that I am playing with that many people these days quite as often as I was back when I first got this game. But 10 to 20 minutes, which honestly I think is probably on the high side. I think because each game is, you can play like meta games where you are kind of adding up points from round to round to round, but I kind of take it as every single pass of the box, the cigar box, where there's a different Don and they're going to send it around the table. That is one game, because everything is going to be so different. And obviously, just like in any game, players are going to bring baggage and, again, their meta game to the table. The game, one game's worth of this, can be as little as 5 minutes. Because what's going to happen, here, I'm going to set it up like we're about to play for 10 players. And, all right, so this box has been prepped for a 10-player game, and there are some things that are not in there. This one joker is able to be used, which this should be in there too, by the Don, but the Don has elected to they can remove 0 to 5 diamonds before the game starts. So right off the bat, and this is a way to make it so it's not pure knowledge of what is in there. So they know that this game only has 11 diamonds in the box. So other players might be kind of accusing others of stealing because it's at a lower count than the full potential of 15. So the other joker is not in the game. And these rolls, 2 henchmen and 1 of the 2 drivers, are also not in the game. So I'm showing you right now, depending on from 6 to 12 players, these are the chips that you will put in the box, and the jokers at the bottom, again, those are the second chances that you get with the tequila. So at 6 and 7 players, the Don has 0 mistakes. It is a one-strike policy. If they accuse the wrong person once, game over. And at the end, if the Don doesn't win, the thief with the most diamonds wins. So that mistake can be costly. So if you're the first player, you're going to open this up. You're going to find some things. You're going to find all the rolls that are available to your player count. You're going to find however many diamonds the Don allowed to be in there, and then you're going to find this bag. Now this is super important. No matter what you do or don't put in here, this bag is going to be removed at the end of your turn. But what this does is allow you to do a couple of things. You could put one roll in here, and then every player is going to either take a roll or take any number of diamonds, down to just a single diamond where someone might not even notice that you've taken one. So you could put a roll in here and then take a different roll, and then when you pass it on, the next player, because everyone will know what started in this box. So when you pass it on, they'll say, oh, I'm missing a henchman and a driver. And then they have to kind of figure out which one is in this bag and which one is in your control. You can also put something in the bag and then steal some diamonds, just to kind of throw off the scent. You could put nothing in the bag. Though if there's anything in this box, you need to take it. If you ever get the box and you're like the second or last player and there are no chips, there are no diamonds, then you become a street urchin, who again, they're kind of like the loyal henchmen of the thieves. If the thieves win, or if a thief wins, all the street urchins in the game also win. So they're trying to kind of mess things up and get the Don to use up all their jokers and lose the game. So first of all, a really great, I don't know if it's an idea, but a concept of this game is the fact that games are so short. This is going to go around the table. People are going to be talking the whole time, secretly taking stuff out of the cigar box. It's going to make its way back, and then the Don goes into their questioning. There are no turns. There's no. I mean, you could put a timer on the game, but there's really no structure. The Don gets to ask questions to they could go one by one. They could go right to the people that seem the most suspicious. They could keep asking the same person question after question. Totally up to them. At any point, they say, empty your pockets. And if they have any diamonds in their pockets, they need to. They are duty bound to give up all the diamonds they have, and then the Don puts those in front of them. And they are, in this case, 2 diamonds closer to the 15 they need to win the game. If they do not have any diamonds, so they have one of these chips, or I guess they're a street urchin, they don't show what they are. They just say they don't have any diamonds, and then if the Don has any jokers left, they spend it because they made a mistake. Only at the end of the game, when the Don has gotten all their diamonds back, or they've made a mistake, they don't have any jokers left, and they accuse someone of being a thief but they weren't, is when you are going to reveal your identity. But here is where the game gets awesome. So game length, again, I don't know if that's really considered a idea, but I think compared to other hidden role games that can take a while, to me this is a lot nicer because games are going so fast. You can try your hand at being the liar, being the loyal person, being one of these other ones we're going to talk about, and see how it goes. If you're playing a game of Avalon, Resistance, or whatever, you are signing up for a bit of time, and that could get messed up kind of early on, and that's so be it. That's what happens. But in this, stuff there can be just massive gaffes where somebody is just like giggling like crazy and gives it all away, and the game takes 4 minutes, and then everyone laughs and puts everything back and does it again, as opposed to a longer game where people would maybe justifiably be frustrated. But the cool idea, honestly, like the coolest idea of this game, is the fact that you get to choose your role in this hidden identity game. So if you're a person who doesn't like lying, who doesn't want to make a game out of lying, you can just be a loyal henchman. The only job of a loyal henchman is to tell the truth and to try to help the Don get to the bottom of all the stolen diamonds. So, you know, you're going to be offering up your help whenever you can, saying as accurately as you can remember, when I got the box, it had 10 diamonds in it. And certain, you know, all these different roles. You are just trying your best to be as honest seeming as you can, because as if you've played a hidden role game before, you probably know even when you have the character that's honest, sometimes it's hard to actually prove that honesty, crazy as that seems. So if you don't want to lie, you can be a henchman. If you want to be the bad guy, you can take some diamonds, 1 to 15 of them. There's no limit to how many you can take. Now, the upper bounds of that are how many you can take while not being just like completely ridiculous about it. Because if you're, you know, taking out this like precarious handful and their diamonds spilling out of it, you probably have to put them back in and be like, all right, ignore that. I'm going to take my roll now. So you're probably at most going to take, I don't know, 5, maybe high single digits worth of diamonds. In that case, you're going to try to seem like a loyal henchman, but you're going to lie like crazy. So you might say, no, when I got the box, there were only 5 diamonds in it, even though you made it have 5 diamonds because you took 5. So you're going to try to throw everyone else under the bus. That is, if you're taking diamonds, you are signing up to be a liar. If you are signing up to be the FBI or CIA agent, these are the same color, very similar images, but 2 different roles. You are signing up to not only be a liar, but you are signing up, you want the Don to ask you to empty your pockets. Because, again, henchmen win if the Don wins. Thieves win, whoever has the most diamonds wins if the Don runs out of his chances and they still have diamonds in their possession. CIA and FBI, they singularly win. Even if there are 2 in the game, which for 10 players and up, there will be both of these. They win by themselves if they can get the Don to ask them to empty their pockets, at which point they put down their role and they alone win the game. So this is, again, sort of like this secret bag is there to put off the trail of what that first player took. These are put in there to make it so the Don doesn't only just go around the table and say, you seem suspicious, you seem suspicious, and just one by one ask people to empty their pockets. Because even at a 6-player game, there's going to be one of these in there, and unless someone put it in this bag, they are going to be in the game, and they are probably going to be making it seem like they are the most suspicious person in the game. But if you want to play it right, you can't be the most suspicious person, because then the Don is going to assume you are. So anyways, CIA and FBI, or I guess the other way around, trying to get accused. Drivers, they win if the person on their right wins the game. So that's it. It doesn't matter who the person is. The person on the right could be the CIA agent or a henchman, in which case they also kind of indirectly need the Don to win. The person on the driver's right could be the Don. It also could be the cleaner, which we'll talk about next. Which I suppose they could also be this. And then whoever's to the right of this one that would be very strange. But they're just trying to, of these other 3 roles talked about so far, they have a very specific bent. Be as honest as you can. Be a tricky liar. Be a not so tricky liar. This is going to have to kind of play the field and say what's going on out there. What am I going to have to do? Like, I can't just focus on my job because my job depends on someone else's job. So I need to suss out who they are, or rather what job they are, and help them do their best, because if they win, I win. So the the last one, and one of the cool ideas here is not just that people get to choose these roles, it's some of the deeper roles. So I love, just like the CIA and FBI, even a 6-player game, there's going to be one of these drivers, which is, again, just like a weird wild card role. This can actually be set up for any player count, and it takes the role of a loyal henchman. So in that box that I set up for 10 players, there were supposed to be 4 loyal henchmen, but there were only 3 because I had the cleaner in there. So what the cleaner is all about, they take the place of a loyal henchman, but they aren't. So if the Don wins, the cleaner does not. So the role that this takes is when the Don says, empty your pockets, the cleaner, one time in the game, can just point a finger gun and say, pow. And what they're trying to do is help the Don figure out, like sniff out one of these agents, a CIA or FBI agent. Because if the Don can accuse one of these by saying, empty your pockets, before the person reveals their take, whether it's diamonds or a poker chip, the cleaner can pow and shoot the person. If it was one of these agents, the cleaner alone wins the game. So even though they got rid of one of these undercover agents, which I guess, thematically would help the Don and everybody in their organization, in this game, the cleaner wins because they took him out. Now, if they are any other role, so if they took out a loyal henchman or a driver, both that person and the cleaner are removed from the game, but the Don doesn't need to spend any jokers. So they kind of act like a loyal, and you can see they're wearing like the same, they have a white shirt and a vest, but they have their fancy cap and a revolver. So by, if they don't get the agent and they take someone else out, they help the Don by removing some options from the table, because now the Don knows the cleaner is out of there and knows either a loyal henchman or a driver is out. If the cleaner takes out a thief, the Don collects the diamonds and they are that closer to being done. And again, the cleaner is out. So it is a one-shot ability. It is super fun. And when it happens the right way, when they take out an agent, it's just, delightful. But it's just as delightful when it doesn't work that way, when they think that they are convinced that the person that they are trying to get the Don to accuse is an agent so that they can shoot them, and then when the Don accuses them, they turn out to be like a loyal henchman who's just doing a terrible job being honest, which is part of the fun of any hidden traitor or hidden role game. But because this game cycles so quickly, you get those like stand-up moments. You have a higher chance of getting it at all in a play session, because usually when I play this, we play 5 to 10 games in a row. That one time, I think we played close to 10. That was a pretty awesome, maybe once in a lifetime opportunity. But we at least do 3 or more games, just back to back to back to back. Usually it's so at least every person gets to be the Don once. And your chances of having those just like, oh my gosh, like moments are just higher because you have more games, but you're going to see weird permutations more often, as opposed to, sometimes you play Shadows over Camelot, and the really good liar was the one who needed to lie. And at the end of the game, they're like, whoa, you were really good at lying. And there's more to talk about in that game, obviously, because there's a lot more going on. But in this game, it's so distilled to these elements you see here and these individual interactions that you just get, I don't know, it's like a hyper condensed, like boiled down version of what hidden trader games can be. And the last thing I'll say, a cool idea, I'll tell you over there so I can actually look at the camera. All right, so the last cool idea of Mafia de Cuba is just being the Don, which in some ways is almost like being the game master or the player who's not really a player, because you're setting the stage, you are sending the box around the table, and then you are guiding this phase where you're trying to suss out who's being suspicious and accuse the suspicious people and hopefully get your diamonds back. So you do play a big role in the game, but it's not that like sneaky, just like like giggly role that everybody else is playing. But it's one of the coolest parts of the game even still, because when you get the box back, you are, I don't know why, but you are going to experience the same thing almost every time, which is you open up the box and you look in, and even though the game is designed for this to happen, the experience of opening it up and seeing I have 0 diamonds in here, and you look around your table of friends, of these people that you choose to spend your time with, and they all have just this stupid look on their face because they're trying to not seem totally opaque. It's an objectively funny moment, but they don't want to seem to be laughing too much because they could be the person who made that moment possible. So just opening up and seeing sometimes a completely empty box. Sometimes there will be chips that are still in there because people are electing to be like small-time thieves. And so you get it back and you're like, great, I don't even have all of my loyal henchmen out there. And sometimes you'll get some diamonds back. But that's part of the fun of the game, is it's a joke, that moment when the Don opens it up to see what's left in the box. It's a joke that's emergently workshopped by all the players around the table, because nobody is going to say, hey, I'm going to take the driver, you take the blah, blah, blah. It's all secret because all the players are playing against each other as well. It's not like them versus the Don, because even the people who are on a team, like the henchmen or like the thieves, they don't know that, and they can't be sure of other people's roles until it's too late. So everybody's going to be doing this secretly, and yet even still it'll make it around to the end of the table, and the situation they've made, sometimes if like the first couple people are just like, well, I'm not taking a roll, I'm just going to take 1 or 2 diamonds, and that might go around, so I'm going to take 4 because that's going to make me seem, or if I can make it, then that means I win and I win alone. And you get to the end and like a bunch of the rolls are left, 1 or 2, but all the diamonds are gone. And so you just look around the table and you're just like, I'm surrounded by thieves, because it's just a really cool moment as the Don. And but immediately following that, of this like moment of levity, is the weight of the roll, because the other cool part of being a Don is you have limited mistakes. So if you're at a 6 or 7 player count, you have 0 mistakes. You cannot accuse anybody and not be right about it, which is just, I think, really clarifying to the game. There are other hidden trader games where I played Jump Ship recently, where people vote the person that should be, shot or thrown out the airlock or put in jail. And they vote in abstract ways, but when the time comes for one of those things to happen, and sometimes you get to reveal and people are just like, uh-oh, they weren't a bad person, we did a bad thing. And that's part of that experience. It's not a mistake. That's part of the the game, the texture of the game is the ability to make mistakes and be like, well, now we're like behind the ball. Now we really need to get going. In this game, sometimes mistakes just end it. And when that happens, that can be, sometimes you go, okay, that wasn't much of a game, let's reset it. Sometimes they are like 1 or 2 diamonds away from locking it down, and that, like, they've taken it back from multiple thieves already, and all they need is to get that one last one, and it's between 2 players, and they get the wrong one. And yeah, so limited mistakes really makes this game like on a knife's edge that you're trying to balance. And the last thing is that all of this is kind of on your own pace. The passing around of the box. People can take as little or as long as they want. Now, people are going to want you to keep it moving because they want to get the game started. But, that can be, I think what works great is to have a genuine conversation going while this box is going around the table. So there isn't just like staring at the people when they're doing stuff. But then really when the box makes it back to the Don, the ball is in their court and they get to do whatever they want. They can, again, just rapid fire questions, and they can be as specific as how many diamonds did you see when you saw the box? Or, if someone is clearly trying to seem loyal, and they say, why should I believe you? It can be whatever you want it to be. And you can go as long as you want before you make your first accusation. You could look around and see the person who can't hide their grin and make your first one. And if that person was a CIA agent, whoops, game's over. But if they were a thief, wow, that's a good gut instinct. Now let's see if we can get the rest of the diamonds back. I don't know, it's just super fun. It's been a long time since I've actually played it. But talking about it now really makes me want to fix that. So thanks, Give Pause Hobby. But anyways, that's Mafia de Cuba. I'm just gonna call it now. This video probably took longer than it should have because I just kind of waxed poetic about the game, as is my wont. So I guess to answer my question from before, I think most games will probably be 2 videos. Some will fit into one, and it'll be probably about this length, because even short, simple games have a lot of cool things in them, but either on the cool stuff or cool ideas, or in this case, a little bit of both. And that's what the series is all about. So another game that I love off my shelf, so I can show you what's cool about it. Mafia de Cuba. Hope you enjoyed. If you've got the game, get it back out. It's super fun. And that's all I have. So thanks for taking a pause with Give Pause. And until next time, happy gaming. Bye, everybody.